Hello and welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Ishigalson. In our top stories this week, the national fertility rate below its replacement level. Implementation of the Provident Fund scheme in the private sector to be strictly monitored beginning June this year. And monitoring social media, a challenge for the upcoming parliamentary elections. A growing number of Bhutanese families are going for fewer children. The Bhutan Living Standards Survey Report 2017 confirms this. The report says the country's total fertility rate is already low. Experts and demographers warn that the trend in the long run could affect the country in more ways than one.
Up until the 1980s, the total fertility rate was 6 children per woman. In other words, a woman would give birth to up to 6 children on an average. Today, the total fertility rate is 1.9, meaning the number of births per woman is less than 2. This is below the replacement level of 2.1. Replacement level, in simple terms, means each couple is replaced by 2 children. Maintaining the replacement level is crucial for population stabilization.
We have gone below the replacement level now, and for the government, maybe unless we have some policies that, as I mentioned earlier, unless we have some pro-natalist sort of programs, or depending on the government's decision, maybe like unless we do something, we will be having, the social problems later in the country.
Declining fertility rate is problematic in many ways. A major adverse impact, that is, if the trend continues, is it could leave the country with a growing aging population and a shrinking workforce. Aging population refers to people aged 65 and above.
When we have more number of people living beyond 65 and when we have fewer number in the productive segment of the society, then what happens is the age dependency ratio increases. So now we will have more mouths to feed with too few hands.
Besides an increased financial and social burden on the working population, labor force contraction would affect the country's economic growth. Some think the Health Ministry's aggressive family planning program in the early 1990s could be partly blamed for the declining fertility rate. To avoid population explosion and its associated problems, the ministry had initiated various population planning activities. But the Health Secretary disagrees. He explains that the family planning program has been misunderstood.
The main objective of family planning services in Bhutan is, overall objective is to produce healthy mother and healthy child. And at that time, Health Ministry has come up with a slogan: delay the first child, space the second, and stop after third. So if you carefully analyze this slogan, Bhutan's family planning services will never decrease the population.
Dr. Ugendofu added that families going for fewer children are largely circumstance-driven.
But because of other circumstances, age of marriage, their level of education, their economic position, may be forcing them to marry late or not marry, or they decide not to have children. So that is affecting the population growth.
Women now constitute a significant portion of the national workforce. This is seen as one of the factors contributing to declining fertility rate. Yoichiro Ishihara is a country economist with the World Bank. According to him, declining fertility rate is an issue affecting most Asian economies too, including his home country Japan. He says it is both good and bad. One of the advantages he explains is
the availability of infrastructure per person would be increased. Now you have roads and you have bridges and other infrastructure. And in the future, when your population will reach the peak and declining, and the average available infrastructure per person increase.
Yoichiro Ishihara added that while he cannot say for sure whether the issue is cause for concern or not in Bhutan, countries experiencing low fertility rates should plan ways to handle the situation. As part of efforts to address the issue, the Cross-National Happiness Commission Secretariat is in the process of drafting a national population and development policy of Bhutan. One of the objectives outlined in the draft policy is to ensure the total fertility rate does not fall below the replacement level at all times.
First one is to promote research on population dynamics, including fertility trends and related issues. When we say population dynamics, it includes fertility, mortality, and migration. So all these factors contribute. And second one is broad direction is to institute appropriate interventions to manage changing fertility trends.
The draft policy will be reviewed and finalized after the report of the second population and housing census of Bhutan conducted last year is out. The GNHC Secretariat says only then can it be said for sure if the declining fertility rate really is something to be alarmed of. Samten Dolker, PBS News.
The rate at which prices of goods and services increase has been slowing down since August last year. In January 2018, the inflation rate stood just below 3%. However, low inflation does not mean prices of goods and services will drop.
With the inflation rate seeing a steady decline, Bhutanese over the past months haven't really been feeling the pinch of rising price of goods and services. Prices of vegetables like these have been on the rise, but not really to an extent which would affect the average household pocket. According to the National Statistics Bureau's Consumer Price Index report, until August last year, inflation has been above 5%, but since then it has been sliding down, recording as low as 2.98% in January. While there hasn't been any marked increase in the overall price of imported food and non-food items, prices of domestic food items have been increasing. Domestic food items include local rice, vegetables and chilies. Its prices increase when supply dries up in the lean season. On the other hand, there has been a reduction in taxi and bus fares. This is following the decrease in diesel and petrol prices. Sharab Doji, BBS News.
The Mongar Dzongkhag Sogdu will propose for renovation of Dzong to the Department of Culture. Local leaders said the historic fortress should be restored to its former glory to promote tourism in eastern Bhutan.
Defying time, the ruins of Dzong remain on a hilltop overlooking Tidangbi village, its main tower still standing tall. It was once large enough to hold an archery game within its wall. History has it that a fire first destroyed the fortress, followed by a major earthquake which lasted for a week. During the recent Dzongkhag Sogdu, local leaders said it is time the historic structure is restored.
Currently in Mongar, we only have Ajane as a cultural site for tourists. So renovating Dzong would attract more tourists in the east. This would help promote the businesses in Mongar as well. Dzong is one of the oldest and historic fortresses of Bhutan.
We have less number of cultural sites in eastern Bhutan, so restoring Dzong could be one of the attractions. It will also help those people living nearby.
Renovating the Dzong would help the Mongar Rabde. They can use it as their winter residence since it is spacious.
The Dzongkhag cultural officer said restoration of the Dzong is proposed in the 12th five-year plan. However, the cost estimate has not been laid out yet. In the current plan, Dzong underwent a minor renovation.
The culture department is occupied with a lot of Dzong reconstruction projects such as Trugil Dzong in Paro, Wandipotang Dzong, Tashigang Dzong and Riksum Gyumbalhaga in Tashiansi. Many cultural officers during our meeting raised the need to renovate Dzong. But just like we have budget constraint at the Dzongkhag level, the department is also facing the same problem.
Locals believe that during the 17th century, Karpodung, The then Mongar Zongwen invited a chief architect named Bala from Poro to construct the zong. While serving for a location, Bala saw a white stone bowl on the hill where the zong today stands. He named it Jonkar, meaning white bowl. But down the centuries, the name transformed to Jongar. For Sonam Sering in Mongar, Sonamong the BBS News.
Dzongkhag Sogdu members in Trashiangsi are leading by example in using traditional plates and cups for meals. They are trying to promote the use of Tapa and Pop, which are popular wooden products of the Dzongkhag. This is also hoped to reduce waste from the use of plastic tableware.
At the recent Dzongkhag Sogdu in Trashiangsi, members were provided Tapa and Pop to eat their meals in. The officials will now use only these items to eat their meals during all DT sessions.
Trashiangsi
is a Dzongkhag which strives on preserving culture and tradition. We also want to set an example to others and promote our own items and reduce the import of outside utensils.
We will be able to continue this in the future as well. Although this was started following the finance minister's directives and with money from the ministry. We are hoping to identify someone to take responsibility of this, who will make sure every member is provided a Tapa and Pop.
The items were purchased at a cost of 300,000 yutam with funding from the finance ministry. Trashiangsi is famous for its production of high-quality tapa with a single bowl costing around 3,000 yutam. The initiative, if it continues, will help preserve culture while also promoting local business. For Sringzam in Trashiangsi, Kilidem, BBS News.
The Labour Ministry will strictly start monitoring the implementation of the Provident Fund scheme in the private sector starting June this year. Only some 3,700 enterprises have registered for PF scheme with the Royal Insurance Corporation of Bhutan and Bhutan Insurance Limited. But there are nearly 60,000 licensed enterprises and firms in the country. Those firms who do not comply will be penalized as per the Labour and Employment Act.
As per the Labour and Employment Act 2007 and its regulations, an employee is entitled to gratuity and provident fund upon retirement from the service. Globally, private sector remains the main engine of job creation, but in Bhutan, according to a report on Bhutan's Labour Market 2016, the government still remains the major employment generator.
If they pay the provident fund gratuity and then pension and maternity leave, all the benefits that we get in civil servant, I think people or the youth, they will join even in the private sector. At present, one of the reasons is that most of the youth, they are saying is in the private sector, the job is not secured, pay is low, and their salary is low. So that's why, so if they start giving all the benefits like civil servant, I'm sure there will be a big impact.
Providing benefits, incentives and training opportunities can make private sector attractive. But according to the Secretary General of the Bhutan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a policy intervention from the government is needed to offer this type of benefits for private employees.
If you say that there will be a tax deductible component while filing tax on the amount of money that is paid by the employer as his contribution to the PF of the employees, then I think many of the enterprises would go in for it. And this is needed because it needs to facilitate the growth of the private sector. So unless the private sector growth is, big and profitable, many small entrepreneurs will not be able to embark on such schemes.
Those small, medium and large-scale enterprises certified by the Economic Affairs Ministry fall under the PF scheme. And as per the Regulations on Working Conditions 2009, All enterprises employing 5 or more employees must comply with PF scheme. A penalty of 3 million Newton was collected from private sectors for not complying with the Labour Act from 2012 till last year. Sunampem for BBS News.
With the concession agreement between the government and Kolongchu Hydroelectric Project Authority yet to be signed, the main construction works at the project site are on hold. For now, construction of bridges and access roads has been completed.
At the moment, construction of a substation is underway. It is expected to be ready within a month or two. Following this, there are a few tenders to be awarded. Works at the project site began in 2015. During the recent Meet the Press session, the Economic Affairs Minister said the signing of concession agreement was withheld after the Indian government released its guidelines on cross-border trade of electricity in December 2016.
While the Kolongchu project construction has started from November 2015, we have not been able to bid out the main packages. By main packages, I mean main packages like construction of dam, construction of HRT, construction of powerhouse, because of Dechigi Shumiti concession agreement signed by the. And the issue is mainly with regard to market access, because cross-border trade in electricity has provisions which restricts our electricity market to Indian.
Minister Lekyu Dorji added the Power Secretary of India assured that power transaction between the two countries will never be an issue. The Government of India has formed a committee to review issues arising from the guidelines. Meanwhile, once the concession agreement is signed, it would take 59 months for the project to complete.
And once that will be signed, our project will start, our main works, etc. We will award the work for main civil works, for which tenders have already been floated. So after that, the project will start.
Kolongchu is built on a joint venture modality between Druk Green Power Corporation and Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam. This means the two public sector companies will hold 50% equity shares each. For Tsringzam in Tashianse, Samtin Dolkar, PBS News.
Compared to the past elections, this time the Election Commission is confronted with a daunting task of monitoring social media. For the mainstream media, the Office of Media Arbitrator has been keeping watch on its coverage, including those in social media.
The Election Commission has notified the general public and all social media users that any post, tweet, comment or opinion of a candidate must be in conformity with the Election Code of Conduct. The Office of Media Arbitrator has assigned a person who will monitor full-time the post related to elections on social media. Election officials said they are already receiving reports of indirect campaigning and use of derogative words in social media.
So some cases are forwarded to the Media Arbitrator Office. So they have been looking after. And then more than that, we have been requesting the social media users to take out their posts, what they have posted.
He said those not adhering to the notification will be dealt as per the electoral laws. He added, for the mainstream media, apart from the Election Code of Conduct, it is important they abide by media laws and ethics. Kilidem, BBS News.
A private newspaper, The Journalist, suspended their managing editor for a month after the Office of the Media Arbitrator asked to take action against the editor and a reporter for doing a profile story on an NC candidate. This move has raised several eyebrows in the media fraternity.
The story was published by the newspaper after the ECB verbally communicated to all media houses not to run profile stories on any aspiring National Council candidates. When the Media Arbitrator's Office told the newspaper of the rules that were breached and asked for a written action taken report, the Journalist newspaper suspended its managing editor. The Journalist newspaper in a statement said, "We have made a mistake and so wrote an apology letter to the Media Arbitrator. We believe that we have to take accountability. However, our mistake was not intentional. On the day there was just one editor working. He was under pressure and so made the mistake. As responsible media, we took administrative actions against the editor." The bottom line is that if one makes a mistake, one should own up to it. Meanwhile, the Journalist Association of Bhutan is worried such a precedent may lead to journalists not performing their duty without fear and favor.
We would like to seek clarity on how far a public office can go to put a media house under pressure to take action on our journalists. Because our concern is that if a media house comes under pressure from different public offices, apart from Bhutan Information Media Authority, our journalists may not be able to perform their duty without fear and favor.
The Election Commission of Bhutan said the Media Arbitrator's Office did not exert any pressure nor directed the journalist newspaper to suspend its managing editor.
The fact is, Media Arbitrator has called the media house how it has happened, just to know the actual background. But by the time Media Arbitrator has called the concerned media house and asked how it has happened, by then they have already reported to him saying that the reporter has made a mistake. For that mistake, they have already taken the action.
Similarly, Queensland newspaper was also asked for a written explanation following factual errors on a Damoi Zomdo story on March 6.
In fact, we have already published a Korenjanum and also a follow-up story on Zomdula, Lindsay Zomdula. Our reporter actually made a mistake on the number of vote counts. The only we made mistake was the number of votes. Other than, I think we are just working on, although they have asked us to submit action taken report, but that we will depend on after we discuss, and then we'll submit our statement.
The Media Arbitrator's Office was set up as required by the Media Coverage of Elections Rules and Regulations 2018. Sharab Dorji, BBS News.
After winning the I-League in his first season with Minerva Punjab Football Club, Chencho Gelson is back in the country. He will now join the national squad as they prepare for the match against the Maldives at the end of the month. Our reporter Sharab Dorji caught up with Chencho to listen to his success story, challenges faced, and more importantly about his future plans.
As Sukhdev takes another throw towards Bali Gagan, even a shot for Chencho! And right off the bat, within 2 minutes, CG7 takes Minerva into heaven. This is what the doctor ordered, and this is the start that Chencho Gelson has given them against their Roka FC.
Actually, I'm very happy that Minerva Punjab has won this I-League champion of this 2017 at 18, and I'm very happy. Football is all about team game. Even from my side, I gave 110% on the pitch, so that even if I can help to the team, so even I contribute a lot in the Minerva Punjab FC.
Finds the number 7. He's got a couple of players on him. Chencho, he's so good in this area. Chencho presents it, and Minerva take the.
I had a very difficult time the day I joined. The first day I joined in Minerva Punjab, because everything was new for me. Even some players and some foreign players and some Indian local players, and even from the management side. When they hear from these players from Bhutan, they always think Bhutan football is not so popular and not so good play. So the first time they underestimate me. So after dealing with 1 month, so they started doing very good to me. Now I have already set a dream for the next season, and I have one motto. I can fly as much as high. So even I have set for the next season also. So now I'm planning to play from the ISL in next season. Officially, I didn't got any offer because it's all deal by the agents But I got so many offers. Offers from agents from 9 or 10 agents. So right now I'm talking with this agents. if you know your ability and your talent la, don't give up la. Like so if you know your talent, so try to work hard and push yourself la. So this will take you high la, one day la.
Well, that's all for this week. Please visit our website or connect with us through Facebook and Twitter. See you next time.